Suvel, thank you so much for making time to share your insights into the future of leadership.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nick. It's a pleasure.
You're welcome. It's great to have you on the show. And Suvel, before we walk into the future, can you please tell us a little bit about your background? Where did you grow up?
Okay. So my name is Dr. Suvel Ramgovind, and I grew up in Durban, KZN, South Africa.
And tell us, what was your dream career when you grew up?
Okay, sure. So I was always a fan of the X-Files with Scully and Mulder, who were delving deep into investigations of the unknown. And that had led me to believe that the field of forensic psychology was meant for me. So I delved even further and I even started my career with psychology being my major and also applying to the Academy of FBI in Virginia, USA. But
Wow.
after careful consideration, yes, and understanding of exactly what the occupation really consisted of, and especially being based here in South Africa with the crime rate, it very swiftly led me to detour to my next big passion, which was computers, both hardware and software engineering.
Right. And can you tell us who inspired you in your early days?
Okay, sure. So, like typical kids always mimic their parents. And so, my dad, who was a high school teacher, he basically always told me that you can become anything you want as long as you've got the knowledge and capabilities to do that. So, I always mimicked him, and there was never a time you would find him without a book in his hand. Or his side gig from teaching was selling off World Book encyclopedias. And that's basically where the love for books began. I would delve into anything and everything, various topics, just to understand something much more further, which basically helped me through my journey.
Now, today you're leading technology, you're leading digital transformation, you're one of South Africa's thought leaders in that area. Looking back over your career, was there a turning point, a major or maybe a number of turning points?
Okay, so there was not one particular turning point, as some might have it in their self-reflection. But throughout my career or throughout my life, there were many highlights in which life had nudged me in a certain direction. In primary school, for example, I was a diligent student who always obeyed the rules and followed processes. And I was not startled when I was selected to be the head prefect. But by being that meant I needed to be a role model. And that soon evolved into my secondary qualifications, and I became the deputy head prefect at school, and then at university, being a representative at the Commerce Council. So that was basically all these very few points that pointed you in the right direction or saying you need to take charge. There are a lot of people around you, but are willing to listen to someone with integrity and with direction. So even during university, I was traveling in a lift club. And at that one point in time, it's like, no, I don't want to be stifled to waiting at a certain time for my colleagues to be at a certain point. So I made it a conscious decision that I needed my own vehicle. But also you needed to know yourself and know what type of vehicle you wanted. So I took on many part-time jobs as a student and working 7 days a week. And a few years later, I purchased my first car, brand new cash. So these were the few things that life was tending to point you in the right direction. And at times, many people feel despondent to say, no, whatever I'm trying is not working out. But it's having that belief in yourself and that life will end up putting you in the right path for yourself, if that makes sense.
Right. And tell us, Suvel, what is motivating you? What is driving you today?
Okay. So in today's day and age, the speed of change, it's moving at a rapid process. And my personal ambition, as well as the tenacity to always push oneself. So one of my personal desires was to have a doctorate title. And as they say, when the time is right, you and the universe will align. So during COVID, obviously business travel had come to a halt, and I used to be traveling extensively globally. So by having this opportunity, it gave me the ability to apply for my master's in business leadership. And 2 years later, after completing my MBL, I was then accepted into the Doctorate of Business Leadership through hard work as well as efficient time management and dedication. I completed my PhD in 2 years, 3 months. So it's having that willpower, that forecast and goals, and that ability to have self-reflection and drive is what drives me today.
Thank you. Now, looking into the future, and I know it's a big question, but what does the future of leadership mean to you?
Okay, there's many parts with regards to this. At the moment, there are unique trends that suggest that future leaders will need to be more flexible, empathetic, as well as socially responsible. And these qualities will have a direct impact on the outcomes of both businesses as well as organizational growth. Now, the future of business leadership refers to evolving concepts as well as practices in which all the leaders need to respond to these changing times, both technological as well as organizational dynamics. And there's key elements that one needs to adhere to or be cognizant of. And one of them are inclusivity and diversity. While I believe that we as South African companies are pretty advanced in the corporate world pertaining to the diverse perspectives with inclusivity, we still somehow need additional practice and principles to be put in place in order for us to foster an innovative environment, which would impact us and improve our decision making. The other thing is adaptability. We can't follow the same norms that we were doing 2 decades ago or 3 decades ago. We must be able to have the ability to pivot and adapt to the rapid changing technology, market conditions, as well as the workforce expectations. And then lastly, remote leadership. That is key in today's day and age, especially from a global perspective. And with the rise of the remote work, leaders are leaning towards management of teams in virtual environments. Just like how you and I are having a virtual conversation, there's other implications and principles we need to take into consideration when working collaboratively with a global team. So those are the key principles which I think we need as future leaderships that need to take into consideration.
Thank you. Now, we are living in challenging times as the world is stumbling from one challenge into the next. What is your advice to future leaders about career challenges? What are some of the biggest challenges they should expect to encounter and hopefully overcome in their career?
That's a good question. And I think there's a distinct differentiation between leadership and management. We know with regards to management, usually there's a focus on things, outcomes, execution of plans, as well as a lot of controls or micromanagements. But that would only get certain tasks completed. We tend to not look at it from a holistic perspective. And I think that's where leadership comes in, whereby from a leadership perspective, we need to focus on people. With the rise of artificial intelligence, machine learning, that's basically replacing a lot of mundane tasks and operations, we fall short, especially in a lot of organizations, in focusing on the people because they become our future, they become our brand and our representation of our organization. So we need to create a vision, we need to empower our people and develop change, but holistically, not from management or top-down approach. And we need everyone to have the influence and must trust the brand or service or outcome of that organization that's working for. And you can only do that with empathy, motivation, and resilience. So those are the key things that I think we need to concentrate on as future leaders to combat this.
Now, if you were to design a curriculum for future leaders, what are some of the key skills that you would want to factor in and maybe teach?
Okay, as mentioned earlier on, we are living in a rapid changing environment, thereby meaning we need to skill people from a technological advancements. They need to be equipped with the latest learnings on how to change from technology. What's actually required? What's the understanding? What are the tools that we can now leverage in today's day and age, as well as the platforms effectively? So technological advancements would be key that we need to create in this curriculum. Then we would need to have a sense of globalization, whereby we need to navigate diverse cultures, understand how each environment works, as well as to manage teams to be spread across various locations, entities, as well as time zones. So we must be cognizant of all these other factors. And that ties in with your workforce dynamics. Because as we evolve more to remote or flexible work arrangements, leaders must also find ways to maintain team cohesion as well as productivity. And then the last part I think we fall short on is mental health and well-being, because leaders need to prioritize both their mental health and their well-being of both themselves and their teams, especially in high-stress environments.
Now, as a mentor to future leaders, can you maybe share a success story or two where you mentored an upcoming leader and that person took your advice to heart?
Okay, sure. So recently I had an engagement with a student, and I consider every person to be a student, whether they're young or old. A student is someone who's embracing a new learning. And I was recently introduced to a class of graduates that was inducted into a global leading IT company. And I was introduced as Dr. Suvel Ramgovind. Now, obviously, for many, the title of doctor is a very senior uh, title that carries weight, but it also, towards newcomers, causes some sort of apprehension. And after delivering my talk, I managed to have the opportunity of one-on-ones and converse with many of these individuals. And a graduate had approached me on a one-on-one basis, and she had said that, yes, she attended my workshop and she was actually stimulated with regards to what had conducted. But then she also mentioned that she's currently pursuing a master's and was very despondent due to the effort being put in from her side, as well as the prolonged process in receiving feedback from her supervisor, as well as the processes from that learning institute. After having several sessions with her and coaching her as a mentor and understanding her sort of goals, aspirations, and how she can rather understand what the process are, as well as applying realistic goals and other avenues in pursuing her end objectives and getting feedback. During these conversations is when you notice that in a split second you get to see the glimmer of hope shine once again in that individual. And as a mentor, as I deliver a lot of either one-on-one speeches or one-to-many, you get to see the body language in a lot of the youth in today, whereby they have rejuvenation of energy that can put anyone back in track. And that student has now progressed further and is now putting a proposal together for her PhD. So everyone is fighting their own battles. And at times they just need to realign, reset, and recharge to get oneself back on track. And I think that is what is missing at the moment, especially with our youth in South Africa. There's so much of potential out there. They just need guidance and leaders to come in and support them and show them the different avenues that they have and with their capabilities.
Thank you. Now, looking back over your own leadership journey, are there any role models of leadership who you have encountered and maybe worked with who you feel future leaders should learn from?
So the very first one that resonates, and I had the privilege of meeting, was was Mr. Nelson Mandela. And as great as he can be, he's very humble. And when I met him, the first thing I noticed, which was surprisingly how tall he was. I'm 1.78 and I had to look up at him. And even though he comes with, and he's been celebrated for his commitment in reconciliation and social justice, it was that minute moment when you met him, you could feel his the sense of greatness. His and he's automatically radiated greatness, but also with humility in all a single emotion. So he was one of the great leaders I ever met. Then there's other people that we tend to research, such as Tim Cook, who's the CEO of Apple, and how he's always been praised for ethical businesses and practices that's been embedded within Apple. And together with that, he's always been emphasizing the importance of corporate social responsibility, especially in technology. The other one is Indra Nooyi, who's our former CEO of PepsiCo. And she's been known for her strategic vision and emphasis on sustainability and corporate responsibility. And that is what everyone is going towards, having a more healthier product for both us as well as the youth, as well as advocating for environmental sustainability. And our last one is Elon Musk. Yes, born in Pretoria, greatest guy ever, whether you like him or not. At the end of the day, if you understand his story, he never let anything become a hurdle. He put his work, his head down, and he was visionary. And he had the ability to disrupt businesses. So at the end of the day, these are the leaders that they have a self-belief in themselves. And whether 99% of the people say, no, you cannot do it, it's just you need that belief and the outcomes will be quite flourishing.
Absolutely. Now, how can our listeners connect with you and where should they follow you?
Okay, so I am on LinkedIn, whereby I do share some nuggets of wisdom, as well as I'm always sharing the upcoming conferences in which I'll be attending either the workshops or presenting at these virtual or on-site platforms. So it's a perfect place to come and engage, as well as exchange ideas. I do have also a lot of students on Facebook under the master's and doctorate section that tend to come in and they just want a few golden nuggets or a pinch in the right direction pertaining to their personal development, etc. So there's also various IT conferences across Africa that I tend to present in, whereby there are organizations that are constantly seeking solutions in managing businesses more efficiently. So those
Now,
are the different platforms.
thank you. Now, what is, last but not least, what is your message to the millions of learners out there who are looking to finish school, start a career? What are maybe one or two success principles that they should keep in mind?
Okay, so self-learning is the only constant in today's day and age. You're never too young or too old to nurture oneself. And by also shaping oneself, it's imperative that you also give back to the community, back to the youth, because time waits for no man. And the soonest the youth it starts to be imperative with regards to whatever they've gained and put themselves out in the real world, the sooner they will start to proceed. But they should not hold back in asking questions or requesting for a mentor. All organizations have that key messaging whereby you can go in, speak to someone's more senior and ask them, can I mentor you? Can I shadow you? What sort of guidance can you give us? And one should not be shy or hesitate in just asking that. Because at the end of the day, it's us with leaders that when we impart with our valuable knowledge and experience onto the youth, they are soon to be the leaders of the future, as well as the driving force of the environment that we are going to be retiring in. So your future also determines how we shape the youth so that we all live in a better community and a better environment.
Dr. Suvel, thank you so much for making time to share your insights and your wisdom into the future of leadership and for reminding us that we all need to give back to the next generation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nick.